This idea explores a 10x media platform. And so this idea is for content producers that are looking to provide the maximum value to the content digester with the least amount of hassle and effort. And so we have a phone screen here, which I'll go into, which kind of describes the features. And then over here, I wanted to start by outlining the values first for the consumer. And so these are values for anyone listening to an audiobook, listening to a media production, watching a video, etc., where there's an educational or interactive intent. So the first thing that we want as a user is ease of access. And what I'm referring to here is finding the product or the material that is most relevant. So ease of search. And I might want to search a library of material for specific words and get a listing of materials in audio, video, or written format that I'm looking for the word Scientology, or I'm looking for the word magic, or metaphysics, whatever it is, or higher self, whatever the term is. And so the search is important to have a title-only search or used in the material. And so this is the first goal. The second is speed. From the moment of typing something into a device or speaking the word in terms of audio dictation, how fast are the results produced? Next, we have independence of access. So internet speed varies around the world and at different times. I just went through a power outage here, and so is the information available offline or only online, or both? Is there a flexibility for the end user to determine whether the material is fully downloaded, or at least the index of cross-referenced words, etc., fully downloaded? And is it available in all internet environments? The next thing is note-taking, and another way of saying that is integration. So if something is available to, if I can listen to something and think that's a good idea, and the technology makes it easy to transport that idea into a calendar, into a recurring calendar, into a list of things to do, into a clip. For example, if I'm producing a documentary, if I'm blogging about something, and I want to blog about a paragraph, about a sentence in that material, how easy is it to get that material appended and quoted in a format that will allow it to be inserted in another project? Next, we have health. And here we come back to being offline. Most devices, if you read the fine print, will say something like, it's not necessarily safe to have this within 1 inch of your body, which if you're keeping it in constant 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi mode, it's usually held in the hand. And so, again, the more, particularly for the demographic of people who get quite sick rapidly, holding an online device, can it be downloaded at the preference of the user so that you can do all of these things offline? There's also access just on the device, how easy is it to, whichever device you're using, to get the material on that particular device. Another important thing is syncing. If you start reading a book, for example, on your desktop, and then you go out to the beach and want to continue reading the book on your phone, is the place that you were last at synchronized for online devices, such that you can continue exactly where you left off from one device or another. I mentioned the sharing in quotes. How easy is it to, if you think of the book format where you'd highlight a sentence or a paragraph. You say, that's a great quote. I want to come back to that. Then you close the book, but which page are the highlights on? So you have to thumb through the book and say, okay, there's the yellow highlight. Was that the quote? No, that wasn't that one. Is that the quote? No, it wasn't that one. It's that quote. But then you have to carry a highlighter. And so can that be taken to a next level where, whether it's a video, an audio, or a text format, where you can highlight certain things in such a way that then you could review the entire material later on any device and just look at the highlights or the quotes. Next come, and once you've got a quote, can you share it? Can you import the quote to, for example, if you're making a documentary on WeVideo, can you send the quote up, can you upload it from the device easily so it's there as an appended quote? Can you go to a section of all your quotes and decide to share it on WhatsApp or Facebook, etc.? How easy is it, once you've got the quotes, to get them into the location that you want to do? Or if you want to share a quote with a friend, you highlight something, and at the end of your book or your audio experience, you want to send all of the highlights to your spouse, to your best friend. How easy is it to say, send highlights, or send this particular highlight to this friend in a variety of formats? The next is cross-referencing. If you're reading, a health article on diabetes, and you want to cross-reference that particular theory, a particular health modality, with maybe 5 other articles that were written about that theory. How easy is it to highlight a particular subject, a particular set of keywords, and get cross-referencing from other people who have read and digested that same material and who want to share. They've read this article and they've appended it to these keywords. How easy is it to link just to those particular passages that you want to cross-reference? You're watching Elon Musk's ideas about going to Mars, and you want to see, well, what do other people have to say about Mars in this terrain? And can you link to that material and explore it to get a sense of a pattern? Finally, the mode of consuming. If you get a text and you're going for a walk in the dark, and so you can't read the text, can you translate the text into a narrator and then choose a good narrating voice? Can you easily move one material? Can you take a video, for example, many videos are just talking heads, and turn it into an audio only? Can you take a video and turn it into a text, a transcript? How easy is that process? Whether or not it is presented that way with the publisher. So these are what's valuable for the consumer. Now, for the producer of content, there's a whole nother set of metrics to look at. One is the ease of upload. For example, if I've got a file on my desktop, and all I have to do is click share, and I see the program that we're talking about here is one of the sharing options, and I click that program. Can that program take the file and work with it? And here we're talking about a variety of different levels of ease. Because one approach might be, let's say an author sends me a manuscript, and I want to upload it with minimal hassle up into this ecosphere, this program. Now, if I just have to right-click, share, and then this program shows up, what are the limitations on formats? Can the program accept any format? If it cannot, does it have an intermediary linking partnership with a format transformer? For example, what if I have an MP3 that I want to turn into an MP4? Can I import it and say this is how I want it to be exported, and have that exported file be what's uploaded to the program? If that's integrated, it's incredibly convenient for the content producer or the person uploading it to the program. Secondly, can it automatically spell and grammar check and just show me the various questions as I'm sending it? So I send it and I say, I automatically want you to spell check this for the American market. Certain words are, for example, a little bit different than British spelling of English, if we're just within those languages. Can I do this in a way where I'll be alerted to grammatical or spelling issues, or automatically turn all the colors, COLOUR in Britain, to COLOR in the United States, and where it'll just reformat the product to be presented in for the designated audience. Another very important part in this stage is translation. Now, we're not at a point currently where translation is reliable in all languages, but certain languages are pretty good. And I might want to make the material available even in a crude pattern, labeled as computer translated with a certain percentage of accuracy. This language, from this language to this language, we've got an 85% sense of accuracy. For a more accurate translation, go to the original language, and you can work with it yourself. Do I have those options to translate material back and forth? The other is charging options. If I'm a content producer, what if I want to sell something per minute? Do I have that option of listing how I want to charge it? And then, of course, there are the charging. So we got per minute, per month, per download, per article. I want all of those different options, and I want, as a content producer, the ability to set defaults so that if I don't interfere, I can just click next, 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 and it will default, meaning it will default. It will be translated into German, Spanish, and Italian. Those are my defaults. It will default to charge per minute or per word read. And so the more someone scrolls through it, they're buying the book per word as opposed to per book. And that's what happens. Now, the next thing I want is affiliate plans. What I want here as a content producer is to have a standard template of here's how much I will pay someone who sends me a client, who sends me a reader, a consumer of material. And I want to be able to set that in a way that is a win-win for the affiliate marketer as well as myself, And then once I've set those defaults, I just click next. I might review what my defaults are. You've said that anyone who sends you a client will get 10% of anything that client buys from here on out. Or they'll only get 10% of this one product you've referred them to, and then after they're a consumer of mine, you don't get anything. So you get for this one product, and then everything else is profit. So I might take a loss on the first product, and then that customer, as they keep working with me, will repay that loss, thus incentivizing the affiliate marketer to help sell an unprofitable initial product, but then continue. I have a growing client base. I take a loss on the first product, and then every other product I make a profit and don't have to pay the affiliate anything. Those terms are set there. And does the program populate the various affiliate connection points where affiliate marketers go to get things, or let my own clients know, share this product and you will get this amount? Does that happen automatically, or do I have to learn the entirety of affiliate marketing all the time? And of course, within various affiliates, I also want to be able to see things like, these 3 people of all my affiliate marketers are generating 80% of my business. So I want to then be able to, within the affiliate mode or module of the program, to be able to sort affiliates in various forms: amount of profit, sequentially, ascending or descending, amount of products sold, amount of enthusiasm, and ease of working with various affiliates, and so to grade in various ways, depending on what's important to me. If my goal is to get out as much information as possible, regardless of the money, then I'm not interested. The affiliate that is number one for me is the one that moves the most product, not the one that makes the most net profit. But that varies, and again, I want to be able to set my values and have my affiliate data presented always in that way. And what do I want? Do I want a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly email report telling me how much money was paid to affiliates, who were my number ones? Do I want to be able to set up a thank you automatically, etc.? That whole system can be completely set up as a template, and then it's done. The program automatically spits out the checks, the credits, etc. And what are the payments options? Do I want to be paying with PayPal? Do I want to be paying by this, or do I want to just get a monthly bill where I go through and these are the accounts to send these amounts of money to? Next, we have feedback. I want feedback about, is my program working, or is it freezing on iPhone 6s, or freezing on Android Octagon? What's happening? So I want that feedback as not only individual feedback, but I want patterns of feedback most particularly. And I want in the ideal sense, I want user engagement to make my material more valuable. So this is reality that creates itself, where the more someone uses my material, the very act of their engaging with the material creates more value for the entire platform as well as for the particular product sold. And an example of that would be upvoting. If my users, let's say I'm a very open platform, and so I let other people upload material, and in the Quora paradigm, where people upvote answers to questions, you see the user sees at the top the question that people most enjoyed being answered. Now, in this sense, if my users are making my platform and my product more valuable, because the single biggest question in an overload of information is, how do I find the most relevant and popular and useful information on this topic, given that there's 1 million pages on the topic? I don't want to read 1 million pages. I want to read the 10 most relevant pages. I want to read an hour of the material that other people have found most useful. Well, how do you know what other people find most useful? It has to be upvoted in some way and organized in some way, which then also leads to, can my users create distinctions? Think of the phenomena of someone who's interested in seasteading, the idea of creating offshore countries with a variety of floating technology. Well, what's interesting is a seasteader, as they're digesting material, is going to look through the lens, through the paradigm of seasteading. Now, if they go through a battery manifesto, this is a technology for battery manifesto, and they see that that's good for seasteading, then they're going to apply that distinction onto that page, which the content provider would not have thought to apply. They're not interested in seasteading. But if that is the best battery type for rocking motions, salt wave and salt air corrosion, because of the way it's plated or the waterproofing in the battery, etc., and if it's the cheapest battery as well, etc., then suddenly anyone interested in seasteading could find the notes from the other person that this is a good article to read on battery technology for seasteading. So by allowing the user to create a variety of distinctions independent of the content producer, then it allows other users who are only interested in seasteading to avoid the frustrating inertia of discovering that because no one has looked at the information through that particular paradigm, they have no idea whether it's good for seasteading or not. So then they've got to read, hundreds of thousands of pages to catch up and reinvent the wheel. So you want your users to constantly be making the material more valuable by cross-referencing the material through their own distinctions. And so, how that works is, if I want to participate in the cross-referencing, I can look at other people's references and I can add references of my own with notes. And of course, in order to get users to participate, we've got to create an incredibly easy format for liquid interaction and sharing of information. So this is what we want as a producer. This is what we want as a user. And so let's look at this particular page here. So it starts with it starts with having an app on your home screen. So this is an incredibly useful content digester. We're all digesting content. The platform that will be used is the most easy and flexible and intuitive of all the various content producers. Now, there's also tremendous, from a platform ownership point of view, of aggregating information. Because if I, as a platform owner, can send out bots to Quora, for example, and on all the relevant topics to my users, it pulls in the top-rated 3 pages of results on different topics from Quora. And then it pulls in some of the most liked pages on Facebook. And then it pulls in, if the Russians in the scientific community are very strong in that area, it may pull in Russian content and offer to translate it. Now, this aggregating service, which can be done manually or automatically and then vetted, because the bot could bring in content for vetting and people downvote it and it disappears, but other bot material is upvoted, so the end user is always finding really useful information. And to give an example of that, I was looking at doing a search on Google right now for the Seth material. And so I type in Seth, and there's various things. There's Seth Godin, there's this Seth material, there's Seth Kowarski, and so it's, but, can I only limit it to Seth? And can other people who have just typed that in aggregate that information in a way that's much more useful than Google is doing at the present time? I spent 30 minutes to get to something I could have gotten in a few seconds, but it was, all the various links. It's not clear what's behind the links. Now, you've got something, but I've already seen that one. Now, you've got the 30 things that I haven't seen. But that takes time. So, so this is, as a platform creator. Now, if we come back into the user environment, I start with Audible because it's currently the best that I'm aware of as an app for digesting large amounts of information. And to give a sense of that, I was reading 3 books a year before Audible. Now I'm reading 100 books a year, or listening to 100 books a year, because they've been migrated into an audio format. And that speaks to the power of being able to migrate format. So I type on my app, it automatically signs me in. Very, very efficient. It's got my library. And of course, it starts with the product that I was last listening to and goes right to the place where I last finished, where I then press play. It's only audio, though. It's not, Audible doesn't have video content. And that's a pity, because you don't want to have to go to another app necessarily in order to, if there's something video. In many cases it's talking heads, and so you could put the phone in your pocket and listen to the talking heads just like an Audible book. An interview, for example, you don't need to be looking at someone's face, but you could, and it's relevant to the topic. So this up here, we take from the YouTube app, which, in a vertical phone dynamic, you've got your screen there, or if you flip the phone, the screen becomes the entirety of the screen. Now, from Netflix, we take subtitles and language format. So you tap up here and you get to choose your options for language, which can be appended. Again, this goes back to the user being able to add a superior to make the product more valuable. What if I'm a Russian woman who loves this book, and I speak fluent English and fluent Russian, and all that's on there is a bot translation from English to Russian. So she digests the material in Russian, but she realizes it doesn't make sense, and so she corrects and upgrades the Russian translation of that particular product. And can she upload her upgrade so that the material gets significantly better in the moment? Can she do that? And can other people up and download the vote? Because another Russian might translate it in another form. And will the user see the highest rated version, and then there might be iterations of that. If you want to try someone else's translation of Russian, you can go down here. So that's all in this little thing right here, which on Netflix, if you're watching it on TV, you click the mouse up. But on TVs currently, it's very clumsy because you're trying with these arrow keys to do this. Here, you just tap this. You type your language preferences. Now, it would be nice to also, as a user, be able to say, I always want it in Russian if available. My next choice would be English, and so it would just default to that. But I certainly want the option to change. I also want, of course, what if I'm deaf? So I want to be able to put on the subtitles in what language, again, and people can upload subtitles. The bot can translate as best it can, but people can make corrections on the app as the subtitle is going on. They can highlight and say, no, that's the wrong word, and can correct the word. And 5 or 6 votes on that over the next period will determine whether the individual's translation is better than the bots and people like that, and so that becomes confirmed using the interactivity of, say, a Wikipedia, where anyone can write in Wikipedia, but if the people most interested in that topic don't agree with it, then you don't get it. It just changes back to the superior version of reality. And so you have your video, audio thing. Do you want quotes? For example, if you're listening to an audio program here, might you want quotes? And would you like to select your screensaver? So you could, as a user, then say, anytime there's an audio thing, I would like my own, let's say, my list of affirmations, because that could be one of the things that or my quotes that I enjoy. So I'm listening to the material, but my quotes with some of my favorite art is going on a slide screen, on the device. And again, might other people want to upload their favorite quotes? Might I want to share my favorite quotes and my favorite art as backdrop for here and have that be upvoted and downvoted in such a way that I default, if I'm watching quotes and art, to the most popular art, but I can also select or put my own. Now we come down to this bar right below the player, and we have a download button right here, which downloads the product and takes it offline. A very important feature. Audible does it automatically, pretty much. But make your most important material fully available offline. You can click in your download preferences. Do you want to download cross-reference material? Do you want to default your download to whatever is presented on the screen, or do you want it to download in Russian, or in your translated version? So download. Right here we have the queue, which takes you into the terrain, and so you can press Q at any point when you're listening, and it shows your little bar of material, either your images, and you can flip back scene by scene, word by word, in kind of slow, where you hear it back and forth, talking and visualizing to find your scene that you want to quote. And so you have your trimming. You also have, maybe I'm watching a video, but I want to quote what was said in my book. So I'm writing a book, and I'm watching a video of Albert Einstein on YouTube, and so I'm listening to what he has to say. Oh, I like that sentence. I haven't heard that Albert Einstein quote. So I'm going to click Q. This little screen is going to pop up. That's going to be a zoom in. That's going to allow me to frame by frame pick and bracket, where I clip and I can create my quote. Now the question is, do I want that quote in text form, in audio form, or in audio video form, or in just video form? What format do I want my quote? Then we have the language thing. Do I want my quote in Russian, in English, or Spanish, etc.? So we have the trimming. We have the selection of the quote, audio to text, text to audio, etc. Now we then have sharing. How do I want to share my quote? Now here we have a feature for projects, and this can be organized both within the app, where I'm going to listen to 1,000 hours of material on this thing, but I'm making a documentary on sexual abuse. And so as I come into different, this psychologist said something interesting here. Of course, the quote tells you who the author is, where the product was, where the source is. That's all in the quote material. And do I want to append it to this project, and then do I have sub-chapters, or just one whole chapter? What's the title of my quote, so I can easily find it later? Do I have to speak that title? Do I have to type that title, or can I press record and have the thing transcribe using Google Voice to create, this is the title? And I can title it for myself. I can say Einstein quote for chapter 2 about beginning of chapter. That could be my audio. That gets translated into text. This then quote goes there to make a much more dynamic audible book, for example, where it can then go to that author's voice reading that, and reference to this material, etc. So we have the sharing. Is it shared on the app? But I also may want to email the quote to my girlfriend. I may want to say share, WhatsApp, Jen, send. And now Jen gets a WhatsApp quote that I just made that I thought was a nice quote for her. Now this suddenly creates a sharing explosion because we're reducing the friction. Because if I have to pick up the phone, open the screen, rewind it, get out a notepad, do this, take a photo of the note, send the photo, it's too much. It's too much. And so it's like, oh, it'd be nice to share that. I'm thinking of you, but you're not actually getting the thought in dense physical form. So we have sharing. And then we have the notes, my notes about it. And that ties in with this next area here, where any body or chapter of material, I can interactively create easy notes with it. And so the notes are, do I want handwritten notes on my phone using my finger or a stylus or a tablet? Do I want handwritten notes? Well, then I click handwritten, and I start writing on the blank part of the screen, and it appends, in this case, to the trimmed video. Do I want photo notes with it, where I'm going to take a photo of something and pair it with this trim, so that it's my cue to remind me? Do I want to make a video note where I just press record, tap this, it records what I'm saying and appends it to that quote? Do I want to make an audio note? Do I want to make a text note where I type it in? This depends on where I tap, because we're dealing with the interface of user engagement right here. And so in this same note bar that's below every piece here, when this pops up to do a trim, you can append notes, and it will append the date that the note was made, and it will alert you in either the trimmed pieces around it or each chapter of the book, have you provided content, so that if you listen to this same material 5 years later, you will see the notes you made 5 years ago. And so you've got this kind of dynamic here. And then you've also got the question of how do you get those notes into your calendar or into an action plan, so that, so a goal, an action plan, a project, so that it's available. And these are particularly, you're listening to a good CEO, for example. I watched an Oprah Winfrey show last night on YouTube on Bob Iger, and there were some interesting rules he had. And so I might say, I like that technique. I'm going to do that in my routine. Well, you're watching there, no pen is handy, etc. But what if you could tap the audio function of that particular idea? And this gets into the distinctions where a product is broken down. I think every idea, every chapter, every interview, let's say a 90-minute interview, might have 100 different distinctions in it, or might have 20 distinctions. And those can be created by the content provider, but they can also be added by the users. Can the users say, we'd like the segments to be idea by idea? So Oprah asks Bob Iger, what's your morning routine? Morning routines are an important part of every person's, shaping of life. And so, well, I get up and I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. Those are 3 distinctions. And if the third one is like, I want to act on that, then you can tap on that particular segment to make your note about. And you can also send it to your calendar. And in the, and then does that get translated into text for the calendar automatically? So the text then says, wake up at this. Can you then retitle it? And then you can put that in a daily part of your calendar. This becomes a very dynamic way of translating energy that's in one form into energy in a much more personal and valuable form for you. So we've got the calendar. And so next we come over to this point here on the bar. We've got 30 seconds back and 30 seconds forward. This borrows from Audible. We also have the chapter. In this case, let's say it's a book or an audio book, and so you have the whole chapter. But then you have these things which are distinctions within the chapter, and there might be 20 distinctions within a single chapter, within a single interview, etc., where these you can tap through these distinctions, and the users can enhance the distinction. So that when you're tapping through, it might show up as a little bit of text, morning routine. Oh, and you say, oh, I want to know Bob Iger's morning routine. I don't really want to know what he thought about frogs or Donald Trump. So I'm going to tap, 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 tap. There he is, morning routine. Okay. This one, I like that one. Let's hear what he had to say there. Okay, good. I'm going to pen that to my action plan, my list of good ideas, my list of quotes, my calendar. So we've and users can actually add to that and enhance that. Then we have the speed button. How fast are we digesting the video, the audio, the text, etc.? Wouldn't apply so much in text unless it was, text to voice. And now we have report. This is reporting a problem. And when you have little distinctions going through there, we can now do a report on a particular distinction, which is good for the publisher. And so, we've got that. We could have also an S for suggest and edit. And you suggest and edit. And one of the nice things, because everyone loves something, if nobody loves a given media product, forget about it, throw it out. But if there is usually at least some people who love something. That's my favorite song. They should be the ones in kind of a leadership position or guardianship position around the material. I love this song. This is my favorite song. I've researched this author up and down, etc. And to some extent, that can be tracked and generated by the app. In other words, the app can say, you've read every single book that we have about this. You've read it multiple times. You've highlighted this. People like what you've said. So if you'd like the position, you can be one of two moderators. And now, as everyone is watching the material and the subtitle is an incorrect spelling, for example, you tap, edit, change the spelling, and submit. Now the moderator, the person who really cares about the material and has a lot more context, can approve that suggestion just by tapping approve as they read, there's been a new suggestion. Now this creates dynamic community. It creates a continuing escalation in the value of the product. So you have report for problems, technical problems, etc. And you say what the problem is. You also, when you click report, you've got this handwritten photo, screenshot, audio, text, etc. as your way. You want to show what the problem is. This is a crappy experience here. Let me show you. And you do a screenshot video, and you send that to who? You can send it to the technical you can send it to the app developer. You can send it to the owner of the content. You can send it to whatever, and it just creates reports that are available for anyone who signs in. Like the author should have a port as the author for this app. And so if the author wants to check and see there's something wrong, it'll give them a ding. Someone's complained about something to the author. They get the feedback. And then they can dismiss it or whatever, and say, oh, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. Or they can say, oh my goodness, you're right. I didn't know that. Or there has been a new bit of research about this that shows that I was wrong here. I didn't know that either. Thank you so much. And so you've got a dynamic flow of energy with the user. Then you have references which are again at any one of the distinctions along here. Someone can tap reference, create a new reference. For example, if I'm listening to Joe Rogan talk about, alien invasions, whatever it is, and I want to cross-reference that with, I watched another video over here that said the same thing, or said the exact opposite thing, whatever, the reference of conflict, the reference of convergence. So I click reference. I want to see other people's reference, or do I want to create a reference? Now, if I want to create a reference, as I'm typing it in, my reference may be useful because I've said it in a different way. Meaning maybe someone already linked to it under a different name, but obviously there's a divergence in the way that different people call or title something. So maybe I have a completely new title. As I do as I complete my title, it will show other titles of other people who have linked reference with similar keywords, because I may be linking something that's already there. The program can also, track whether what I'm linking to. This is to the web, to another product, if it's linking to my own notes, then it's completely original content. But if it's linking to, and the program can see this is linking to the same article just on another web page as is done down here, then it can not show users the multiple links to the same article. It can integrate that so that the titles may be different, but they're all linking to the same place. And so this is creating reference material to expand awareness and pattern recognition, which is a really key thing if you're learning a new topic. Is you want to see, no, the Japanese say this, the Greeks say this, this says this, and when you're looking at reference material, you may want to search by country, or by language, or by stuff in the last 12 months. And so you can have powerful search tools in the reference material that's kind of appending. And obviously, this moves in the direction of being, a cohesive unifier and extractor of some of the most valuable media that's publicly available for dissemination in the world. And if it becomes widely used, then it's got affiliate things. So it may be able to sell something that's on someone else's website, but put it into its format because its format is 10 times better, and see that the payment goes, through to the other content provider on their website by forming partnership agreements to access, material. And so here we have the player button down here. As I said, for note taking, you want to be able to handwrite notes. You want to write notes on your notepad, or maybe you already made them, or you were on the plane and you had a sketch pad. You take a photo and you append that to this chapter, this note, etc. And you can also cross-reference your notes, say which subjects or projects you're working on that it might relate to. Video, audio, text, and I think screenshot is a good one to add for the report function. So then when I'm watching a material, a piece here, I can click on anything that's turned from gray to green, because that means I put content in there. And so if I click on, I prefer to do my notes in text, so I click that. I might also, as a user, as a deeper feature, be able to say, I just want one bar and it's always text, or it's always handwritten note, or these are the ones I'm using, these are the ones I don't want to see. Just make it bigger button so that I'm not pressing the wrong button by accident. Now, in terms of the chapters, like in an Audible experience, I've got this up here, but I want to scroll down to see the names of the chapters, so that I don't have to just click next and next to find out what they are. I can see them here, and I can find my notes, and I can go through the entire media project, finding any of my notes, and also which ones do I want to hear, which ones have I listened to, and each chapter can have its own point where I listened to this and this, but I haven't listened to the rest of that chapter. I just want to look at that chapter. And finally, we have the player settings. Do we want to get to an end of the track and stop? Do we want to autoplay the next things? Do we want to do a loop? Those are player settings, which can be done in a little button right here. At the bottom of the app is a stationary bar. We have home, calendar, action, downloads, search, and community. These can vary somewhat, but this provides a possibility of a company utilization where one product person creates a media package. These are my ideas, and people vote on the different aspects of the idea. You can see the various people, and you can share it with, you can share a product with different, with different people under different circumstances. That's another level in terms of a media sharing service where you say everyone in this division gets this video, everyone in this division gets this as you're uploading material. But this product and this user's experience, which once you click the notes, by the way, like let's say you click handwriting, you have a pop-up screen here. Here you have an X to get rid of it when you're done. You have the date here. You have your title, which can be spoken and then transcribed or handwritten, or it can be just typed in. You type and do your piece here, and then you click share it, save it, delete it, or edit it, so that later you can get rid of that and do another one, or it can show in order created, so that your most recent one is up at the top, and then below that, and below that, and below that. So if you click handwritten notes and you revisit a book, for example, every year you reread that book, and you make new notes about certain chapters, it'll show you the notes you already did, but you can add a new note on top, or you can edit the existing note and just make it longer as you prefer. But this would allow you to, for example, search for all notes made in 2019 on any products with actionable data, and then you just review all that and you say, gee, I forgot about that. I was going to get up at 4:45 like Bob Iger and do this meditation and do this, or I wasn't. And so it provides an easy interface. This is a 10x concept, meaning the fluid use of this product makes it the single best media consumption and delivery device and sharing device of anything that I'm aware of. Now, it's, if we then go to another level of the creator dynamic, of course, you want to be able to spend the somewhere between $100,000 and $700,000 to develop such a product. And then the question is, well, maybe your content, for example, my content does not have a marketable $700,000 value. So I don't particularly want to build this app just for my products, my information. So then the question is, well, how is such a product going to be built, given that one content provider may or may not want to produce it? And the answer is that you can lease this product, meaning you can make a template where you sell all of these features, and any content provider in the world that wants to use this template can check which features they want available on it, and the others become invisible to their users. Number one. Number two, they can customize the background screen. Is it is it plain white? Is it black? That could also be done by the user. And they can either lease the plan, they can pay per minute used, they can pay a percentage of the profits. I might say, I'm perfectly fine paying 50%. This is so nice for my users. and so much more profitable than putting it up on YouTube where I just get a little bit of ad revenue and I'm irritating my customers because they don't want to see the ads, and I don't want my ideas diluted by, car tires popping up and having to be clicked off. So I don't want to do that. So my users don't like it. I don't like it. What I'm going to do instead is give my users a 10 times better sharing experience, and I'm going to agree with the developer of the program that I have the right to use it, and that all of the income that I receive from my program, I share 50% with the app developer, and then the other 50% comes to my account. And we see all of that, analytics, etc., presented. Here's how your users used the app. You get a report. Here's how often people are making your product better. Here's what's happening with other affiliate programs. Here's what's happening with yours. Here's the number of views, etc., etc., and you get 50% of the money. You can also sell the right to use and modify the program. So, Tony Robbins has a bunch of different products out there, worth tens of millions of dollars. He wants to buy this and mildly customize it with the team, and is happy to pay $1 million to have it tomorrow, because from the moment this is out, his users are going to be growing so much more with this device than they are sticking it on Audible, sticking it on Amazon. And so a one-time purchase and then the right to customize it. There is another thing. If you've got maybe, I can't imagine that at least 500 content producers who care about their customers in the world would not want all of their library material. And this is the benefit to the content producer, is unlike searching through the latest buzzing YouTube stuff, this can be customized to have only their content. Only their content. I developed some of these ideas with Concept Synergy in mind because they have a very large body of material that I'm interested in, and their current platform is 10 to 20 times inferior in all of these metrics. And so it's like, couldn't you produce this material in such a way? And so if Concept Synergy, for example, purchased whatever, there's X amount to produce the template. But this is the easiest thing for a publisher to upload their content to, particularly if you can create a custom link with their existing platform to port over all of the information and account information automatically, where you'd have your account. That would probably be in the home or the account, tab down here, where it can bring in all of the account information and have enough fields that whatever someone has, it will bring all of that plus more, simply by saying, their content, their contact information is named this. Anything named that goes into this field, which is named this, and it just ports it all over through an extraction process where an entire migration can happen automatically, and you can invite your users into a 10x learning and media experience. Now, why is this important? Beyond the fact that it can create abundance, beyond the fact that users are very happy, beyond the fact that it can literally reduce a publishing business down to one person, because this thing can be designed to spit out income statements and stuff in such a format that they just send it off to their tax provider, etc., and can extract and port in all the digital information. Why do it? Well, one of the things that's happening with information overload is a numbing process. The human body is not designed to just digest vast sums of abstract information and do nothing. Usually if there's a tiger right in front of you, you're supposed to run, and your body is integrated at the end of that run. If there's a car running towards you, you jump out of the way. If you see a starving person, you give them some food and you say, I should do something. And so when we're processing reality in visceral context, we're responding with an integrated heart, mind, and body that is bringing us into our body, creating vitality, creating integration. When you consume media that has nothing to do with you, you're watching someone starve in Ethiopia, not your neighborhood, and you're just watching it while you're eating dinner. And there's no place to donate. There's no place to respond. And I think this brings up another thing which is just occurring to me as I speak here. Take action. Let's just put an A right here, where if I want to take action, any user can suggest, here are ways to take action, and any user can upvote those suggestions and test them out and comment upon those suggestions. If I watch a segment about starving children in Ethiopia, the thing, if I have any empathy, that I'm most interested in is what is the single most potent thing I could do to respond to that, either there or locally in my own life. And if I tap that, and let's say there's nothing there. So I figure out, I spend the 3 hours to go through Google and all that, and I find, okay, here's a good charity. It's got great reviews from its employees. It's this, it's that. It's for $1, it's giving a meal. This other charity is doing it for $2 a meal. This other charity is doing it for $10 a meal. This other charity is in a scam, And so I'm going to send money here. There's also the ability, a very powerful way where we can integrate behavior. So the note-taking and integrating into our calendar is a part of that, and that's what we might do. Take action, nothing's there. I write a little note saying I'd like to give $20 to Ethiopian charities and send that to my virtual assistant. And he'll look up what's the best charity and $20 sent. And it's of course even more powerful if you can integrate. Kiva does a good job with doing loans and microloans, but you never hear from the loan. You never hear directly from the person who received the loan. You don't get a photo. So and so wants money to remodel their store. You don't get a photo of the remodeled store. And that's a problem in the feedback loop because it becomes less real. And anything that's less real, you don't have much empathy around. Like I've given, hundreds and hundreds of dollars away as well as loaned and stuff. And I have no idea, this was supposed to fix someone's motorcycle. Did it? How long did the repair last? Worked good, or did they get into a motorcycle accident? Maybe I won't help someone fix their motorcycle. I'll help them get a tricycle because they don't flip over and have as many traffic accidents. And so there's not a feedback loop. And so, the more we can integrate what we're digesting with what we are doing in response to that, suggestion and information, and then how did that work out? Now we've got a completed loop. I digested a piece of information. If it's not important, cut it out. There's too much information out there. If it is important, what did I do about it? If I did something, what's the result? And then what am I going to do about that? So that it continues to evolve in an ever-increasing spiral of effective action.